Take one part of the journey from A to B, and the return journey is from B to C, and the return journey is from B to C. While going from A to B, I'm just writing it as part 1 of the journey. In first part of the journey, we are writing the initial velocity is equal to how much? 10 meter per second. Initial velocity is 10 meter per second. Final velocity is equal to 50 meter per second. Acceleration we don't know, but the displacement, okay, fine. So let me write it down, v square minus u square equal to 2ax, right? Because in this part the body is accelerating and it is moving in the forward direction. So both a and x are going to be positive, right? So it's going to be 50 square minus 10 square is equal to 2ax. 50 square minus 10 square is equal to 2ax. So this is our first equation. But the second part of the journey, when it is reversing back, the acceleration is suddenly reversed. So that means the acceleration is becoming negative, direction is changed. But nothing has been said about the magnitude, so we'll keep the magnitude constant. What will be the velocity of the particle when it is returning to the starting point? When it returns back to the starting point, so its displacement will remain same, right? I mean, if I'm going to consider this B point as the starting point and C is the end point, the displacement is remaining same. I mean, magnitude of the displacement will remain same, but the direction will be reversed. So in that case, we have to find out that what will be the velocity of the particle at the starting point. So let it be V final square minus of 50 square, because if I'm going to put this point as A and this point is B, so the velocities are something like this. Here at this point it is 10, here it is 50, and at this particular point it is going to be Vf. So we are going to write Vf square minus 50 square is equal to 2a. In this case it is going to be minus of a and minus of x. Okay. In fact, the whole thing will become 2ax. So can't we equate both of them? Yes, we can equate both of them. So let us equate them. 50 square minus 10 square equal to Vf square minus 50 whole square, right? So now you can solve for V final. If you solve it, you'll be getting the value as 70 meter per second. If you solve it, you'll be getting the value as 70 meter per second. Yeah. Next question. Yet again, it is a very nice question. A particle is moving along the x-axis whose instantaneous speed is given by v square equal to 108 minus 9x square. The acceleration of the particle we are required to find out. I'm giving you 1 minute to solve it. Solve it and let me know what the answer you are getting here. These questions are really selective and there are high chances of recording it. Very good, well done. Others, I got answer from some of the students. So please, others please start doing. No. It's not option C. Well, rule number 1. Whenever you find equations of velocity and position like this, rule number 1, and always this rule must be remembered. Rule number 1. Whenever you find the relationship between v and x, so instantly it should come to your mind that acceleration has two formulas. One is dv by dt. Three formulas in fact. D square x by dt square. And you know that one more formula is there for acceleration. Do you know, right? So what is the formula? That is v into dv by dx. V into dv by dx. Clear? Or we can write it down like dv by dx into dx by dt. Right? And this dx by dt is giving you v. So we are going to use this formula. So let me write it down. It's given that answer. V square is equal to 108 minus 9x square. V square is equal to 108 minus 9x square. So let's find it out. So I'm doing one thing, I'm differentiating it. I'm differentiating it with respect to x. So differentiating it with respect to x is going to give you 2v into dv by dx. You know that this one is a constant, so whenever you are going to differentiate it, it is going to give you a zero value. Minus 18x. Minus 18x. Clear to all of you? Right. So now we are going to get v dv by dx is equal to minus 9x, right? It's going to be minus 9x. Okay. So this is our acceleration. This is our acceleration. Acceleration is minus 9x meter per second square. So this is the answer. So immediately you start to differentiate the equation with respect to x. Question number 16. Well done, well done. Everybody is getting the answer. Answer is option D. I think most of you are getting the answer. Answer is option D. Okay, please start doing it. A thief is running away on a straight road in a jeep moving with a speed of 9 meters per second. Okay, a policeman chases him on a motorcycle moving at a speed of 10 meters per second. Okay, of course, that means the thief is ahead of the policeman. So let's make the motorcycle, I don't know. Okay, so this one is changing it with a speed of 10 meters per second, and thief is running away with a speed of 9 meters per second. The instantaneous separation of the jeep from the motorcycle at any moment is given as 100 meters. That means this is the relative separation, right? This is the relative separation. How long will it take for the policeman to catch the thief? How long it will be taken by the policeman? We can do it by relative velocity also, right? We can also do it by relative velocity. What I told you that how to analyze the system by relative velocity, go and sit on this and take the velocity of this and add it in the opposite direction to the second body. So when you add it, it is going to become 9 meter per second. So 10 minus 9, so V relative will become equal to 1 meter per second. 10 minus 9. Okay. The same thing that we do that, both are running in the same direction. What is the relative separation between them? Right? That is 100 meters. So how to find out the time of catching? The time of catching is as relative by V relative is equal to 100 seconds. Right? So the answer is 100 seconds. I did this one because I wanted to tell you, I mean, remind you that how to find out the relative velocity and all. 17. Motion under gravity, the most important concept. The highest number of questions are asked from this concept. Yes, very good. This is also again a very basic question. A body is released from the top of a tower of height h. After 2 seconds, it is stopped and then instantaneously released. Right? Release means u equal to 0 from the top of a tower of height h. After 2 seconds, it is stopped and then instantaneously released. So let's find out that at 2 seconds, what is the velocity of it? So, or the distance covered by it in the first 2 seconds. Let it be h1. h1 is equal to half g 2 square because initial velocity is 0. So we can write it as 2g. 2g is 20 meter. 20 meter. Similarly, the distance covered by the object in the next 2 seconds. So then it is stopped and again it is released. So that means we can analyze the cases like, so actually it has to fall h minus 20, but let's see that in the next 2 seconds how much distance is going to be falling down. So that is going to be h2 next 2 seconds. Similarly, the distance covered, same thing now. See, acceleration is constant, that is the, so h2 is also going to be, wait, right. So h2 is also going to be, for all of you have got it, h1 is equal to 20 meter, and in the next half it's also going to be 20 meter. So the total, from the total it is going to be h minus 40. Right. You can see the screen now, right? Question number 20. Good. This is confusing. Why? Read the question once again. Person is throwing two balls in the air, one after the other. He throws the second ball when the first ball is at the highest point. If he is throwing the balls in every second, how high do they rise? Easy one. See, it is saying that a person is throwing balls into the air, right? One after the other. He throws the second ball when the first ball is at the highest point. So let's take an example. This is the person who is throwing the ball. Let throwing the ball with the velocity of u. If you are not going to throw the ball with some initial velocity, it cannot rise. You know it very well, right? So because of gravity, we have to give some initial. So once it starts, it will reach at this point when its velocity will become equal to zero. Then again it will start to come back. Again it will start to come back. It says that when the first ball is at the highest point, you are throwing the second ball. The second ball, right? It says that, am I audible to all of you? Am I audible to all of you? Is there any problem? Okay, fine. So now it is showing that he throws the second ball when the first ball is at the highest point. If he is throwing the balls in every second, how many balls are thrown? Two balls. How many balls are thrown? Two balls are thrown. So let us find out what is the time of ascent or the time of going up. You know that the time of going up can be directly calculated as t equal to u by g. This is our time of ascent, right? So t equal to u by g. So how much is the time? It is 1 second. It is 1 second because it is in every second it is thrown. So we have so we can write 1 is equal to ug. So from this we get the value of initial velocity equal to 10 meter per second. So let's find out that how much is the maximum height achieved. H max is equal to u square by 2g. U square is 100 by 2 into 10. So we are getting it as 5 meter, 5 meter. Okay. So final answer is option A. Answer is option A. Let's move to the next question. Question number 22. One of the favorite question, right? A body is dropped from the top of a tower, cover a distance 7x in the last second of its journey. Right? Where x is the distance covered in the first second. You know that the x is the distance covered in the first second. Right? That value is, everybody knows this, right? That is 5 meter always. Yes, very good. A body is dropped from the top of a tower, covers a distance of 7x in the last second of its journey. Distance covered in the first second. How much time does it take to reach the ground? How much time does it take to reach the ground? Right. So if I say that t equal to n second, and in the last second it is covering a distance of, and in the last second it is covering a distance of 7x. So you stand here and drop a stone. It says that at t equal to 0 second you are dropping it. At t equal to n second it is hitting the ground. It is given that from n minus 1 second, in between this n minus 1 to n equal to 0, it is completing how much distance? It is 7x. 7x. Probably you have remembered this equation as a net equal to u plus minus a by 2 into 2n minus 1. Right? So we are going to use that equation. That is in the nth second. We say that the last nth second, in the last 1 second, this much distance is covered. You know that acceleration is equal to minus g meter per second square. That is in the downward direction. So I am putting the sign convention as negative. Right? So S nth is also in the downward direction. So we can write it as minus 7x. Initial velocity is 0 minus g by 2, 2n minus 1. See, because I'm doing this question because there are so many types of questions could be asked to you in this method. Negative and negative are getting cancelled, right? Negative and negative are getting cancelled. So what we are getting? That 7x is equal to g by 2 into 2n minus 1. G by 2 into 2n minus 1. This is our first equation. Always you do another write another equation for the given condition or for the complete motion. Here it is given x is the distance covered in the first second. So let me write down, because there are two unknowns. I need one more equation here. So we can write x is equal to half g 1 square, and that is always equal to 5. If you have remembered that the distance covered in the first 1 second of its descending motion and the last 1 second of the ascending motion are always same. That is 5 meters. That is 5 meters, right? So this is equal to 5. So just put this value here. So it's going to be 35 equal to g by 2 is 5 into 2n minus 1. See, this is gone. So 2n equal to 8. N is equal to 4 seconds. N is equal to 4 seconds. Okay, clear? So this is the answer to the question. There are varieties of questions are asked on this. Now next one. Yeah, that one also you can do. No, nth one, no, so it will be really difficult. Anyways, start doing this one. 24. Carefully do this question. Okay. Did you get the answer? Yes, very good. Answer is option A. Answer is option A. So this equation is time and position equation. We have to find out the displacement of the particle when its velocity is zero, right? We have to find out the displacement of the particle when the velocity is equal to zero. You know that velocity is equal to dx by dt. So what we have to do? Um, we have to differentiate the equation. So let me differentiate it directly with respect to time t. So it is given that t is equal to root x plus 3. So differentiate it with respect to time. So d by dt of t is equal to d by dt of root over of x plus 3 plus 3, right? Root over of x plus 3. So in this way we are going to get it as, it's not, it's 0, 0, right? Correct. So it's coming as 1 equal to 1 by 2 root x. Whenever you will differentiate it, you will be getting the same answer. You can tally it with me. Dx by dt. Dx by dt. I just remove that 3 part of it. Because this is going to be d by dt of root x plus d by dt of 3. So d by dt of 3 is going to be 0. Right? So here we are going to get like dx by dt is equal to 2 root x. 2 root x. Right? So when the velocity is 0, this one is velocity. Right? When the velocity is 0, so we can directly write down 2 root x itself is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. answer is not C. Very good, very good. Answer is option B. Others, please do find out. This is easy one only. Did others get the answer? Okay. A body is sliding down on a smooth inclined plane requires 4 seconds to reach the bottom. Okay, you know that on an inclined plane, the acceleration can directly be calculated as g sine theta, right? G sine theta. So I'm just writing down in the first case. In case 1, acceleration is equal to g sine theta. How did we get this? This one is an inclined plane and you put a mass of m. This angle is theta. So mg, this one is theta, mg cos theta, normal reaction, and mg sine. So this is the only driving force down the incline. So acceleration can be directly written as g sine theta because m and m are getting cancelled. How much time does it take to cover 1/4 of the distance starting from rest at the top? If you wish to complete 1/4 of the distance, so we can directly write down that is constant acceleration. So this equation is equally valid. Ut plus half at square. This one is 0. This is 0. So we can write here half g sine theta and t square. Right? In t square. Here you can use this equation. Hope everybody got the answer. But here it is cover 1/4 of the distance starting from rest to the top. It is taking 4 seconds to reach the bottom. It is taking 4 seconds to reach the bottom. So we are required to find out if s is equal to s by 4. So in that case, what should be the time? Half g sin theta is common to both of them. So it is going to be t dash whole square. Right? So divide both the equation, we will be getting the answer. So t dash is coming as 2 seconds. T dash is coming as 2 seconds. Right? 29. Did you get the answer? How to solve this question? Graphically. A body is starting from rest and travels a distance s with a uniform acceleration. Then it is moving uniformly a distance of 2s and finally comes to rest after moving further 5s under uniform retardation. The ratio of the average velocity to maximum velocity you have to find out. You have to find out the ratio of the average velocity to the maximum velocity. Right? So it's not yet sounding very difficult, but we are going to tackle this by doing the graph. Average velocity to maximum velocity. Let's do it. Let's do a velocity and time graph. Let's draw a velocity time graph and replicate the steps that have been given. The body is starting from rest and travels a distance s with uniform acceleration. So what should be the, how does it look like velocity time graph? It's going to be a straight line passing through the origin because the slope is going to be constant. It is not going to be a straight line horizontal to the x-axis. Rather, it should give you a constant slope, constant velocity, constant acceleration. No? So it should be a constant slope. Okay. A distance, then it moves uniformly a distance of 2s. Okay. Uniformly means acceleration is equal to 0, so slope needs to be 0. So the line will become like this. Again, and finally comes to rest. If it was moving uniformly, it has to retard to come to rest for further 5s. Okay, so these lines are not symmetrical. So this is going to be a little bit large. Fine. So this is the story actually. This is the velocity and time story of the ball. So let me write it down. So this interval I'm going to write it as t1. For this interval I'm going to write it as t1. And the second part of the interval is going to be t2. And third one is t3. And the third one is t2. Clear? So these are the Vmax and Vmax. This is Vmax and this one is Vmax. This means this is the maximum velocity that can be achieved by the ball. So what are the things are given? We know that the area under a Vt graph represents the displacement. The area under the Vt graph is going to represent the displacement. So I'm going to break it into three parts. Just I'm writing it up for the first part. The distance covered is equal to s. So s is equal to, so here there is no chances the body is returning in the opposite direction. So we can directly write down half base into height. So base is t1, height is equal to Vmax. Height is equal to Vmax. So we can write down T1 is equal to 2s divided by Vmax. T1 is equal to 2s divided by Vmax. So this is my first equation. Similarly, I will write for the area of the second part. If I'll find out the area of the second part, so how much distance it is covering? 2s. So 2s is equal to area of this part. So this length is T2 and this height is Vmax. So directly we can write 2s is Vmax into T2. Similarly, coming to the third part of it. This is our third part. So what is the area of the third part? And what is the distance? Distance covered is 5s. So we can write down, and from the second one we can find out the time T2 is equal to 2s by Vmax. It is Qs by Vmax. Can you see that T1 and T2 have become equal actually? Anyway, so 5s is equal to half base into height. Height is Vmax into T3. So here we got the value of T3 as 10s by Vmax. We got the value of T3 as 10s by Vmax. Okay. Let me write down the calculation to the other side. Now we got the total time. We got the total time and we have the total distance covered by the body, displacement covered by the body. Here the distance and displacements are equal. So we have to find out the average velocity to maximum velocity. So let me find out the average velocity first. V average is equal to the total displacement by total time. Total displacement by total time. Wherever the journey is in three parts, now directly replicate into the graph. So it's going to be s plus 2s plus 5s. 5 plus 2, 7 plus s is 8s divided by t1 plus t2 plus t3, right? So it will be 2s by Vmax plus 2s by Vmax plus 10s by Vmax. So this Vmax being a common, it will go off, right? So from here we can get down that directly we can find out the answer that V average by Vmax is equal to 8s by 14s. Because this one is 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 10 is 14. S and S are gone, so it is 8 by 14. So that is 4 by 7. So 4 by 7 is the answer to the question. 4 by 7 is the answer to the question, that is option C. Option C is the correct answer. Right? Hope all of you got this. Right. Very good. Okay. So whenever the question is broken into three parts, so we have to better to plot a graph or in two parts. $32. Very good, very good. Answer is option C. This is a direct answer, you got it. Huh? The ratio of the difference in the square root of the integers. Time taken to cover the first n meter. The particle is dropped from rest from a large height, assume g to be constant throughout the motion. The time taken by it to fall through the successive distance of 1 meter each. Right? Everyone is getting the answer? So let me tell me the let you tell you that the first nth distance. If I say that this is your tower, and you are starting and dropping a stone from here, and the first nth distance is covered in u plus a by 2. I mean u is 0 now, ut plus half a t square. So half t t square, tn square. The time taken is tn square. So the time taken can be directly written as 2h by g. So that is 2n by g. So similarly, if I wish to find out that n plus 1 and the distance is covered in how much seconds. So t n plus 1 is equal to square root of 2 into n plus 1 by g, right? So the difference between these two height are going to be 1 meter. We have to find out the time taken to cover n plus 1 in its distance. Is t n plus 1 minus tn. So we can take, see, what are the things can be taken as common outside? We can say square root of 2 by z can be taken as common outside, and it is going to be root over of n plus 1 minus root over of n. So we are required to find out the ratio. We have to find out the ratio. The ratio is going to be, just put the value of n, we will be getting the answer, right? So the first one is root over of 1. Then second one is root 1 plus 1 root 2 minus 1. So it will be root over of 2 minus root over of 1 is 2 root over of 3 minus root over of 2, and so on. It will go as it is. So the answer is option C. Yeah. Probably, if, I don't know if you have remembered it or not. I told you a very important concept that is need to remember, that whenever a body is released from rest, but in every 1 second, as it is coming down, t equal to 2 second, t equal to 3 second, right? And t equal to 4 second and on. So if this distance is x, this is going to be 3x, this is 5x, this one is 7x, this is 9x, and so on. So the ratio are going to be in every consecutive seconds are 1 is to 3 is to 5 is to 7, and so on, right? So many questions can be directly calculated from this also, right? Just like the in a second and all kind of question. 34 to it. Completed. I'm getting different answers. Do it, do it. There is one thing that you have to remember while calculating the average speed. If you have not remembered, let me revise it once again. If you divide the whole path into equal parts, if I'm going to divide the whole path into equal parts, okay, this is the first one. If I divide it equally, like let the distance at 3D and I'm going to break it like D, D and D. And in first part, the vehicle is moving with V1. In the second part, it is moving with the velocity of V2, and in the third part, it is moving with V3. So in that case, the average velocity is calculated as the harmonic mean of it. Harmonic mean of it, right? Harmonic mean means it is coming as n by 1 by V1 plus 1 by V2 and so on, right? So this is the average velocity form. When we are going to break the whole distance into three equal parts, and in all the equal parts the velocities are different, right? Just like this one, if a particle is traveling in equal distance with speed v1, v2 and vn, then the average speed v of the particle will be such that you do not have to write down any draw anything, you just do in this way. And the second part is that when equal interval is there, in case of equal interval, so the first one is for equal parts and the second one is for equal interval. So what your equal interval says? Equal interval says that if I say we are going to break the journey into equal time interval, not the distance. If I say this is T1, okay, and T1 is equal to T2 is equal to T3 is equal to T4. Okay, so let's take an example. You want to move from one place to another place. So you're going to break it in such a way that the distance are not equal, but the intervals are equal, right? So definitely the speed must be different. Intervals are equal. So it's going to be in the first interval it is going V1, in second one it is V2, in third one is V3 and so on. So in that case the average velocity is calculated as arithmetic mean. It is calculated as the arithmetic mean of it. V1 plus V2 plus V3 divided by n. Okay. So just keep these two results in your teeth so that we can do the questions very. So the first one in this case, so these are the two ways that we are going to find out. So in this part, what we have to do? Harmonic mean n by 1 by v1 plus 1 by v2 and so on. So what should be the answer? What should be the answer? It is option C. Option C. Here, because here it is 1 by v. Here it is asked you to find out 1 by v. Right? 1 by v means this n will come down and all these things will be there. Okay. Hope it is clear to all of you. 35. A ball is thrown from the top of a tower that is vertically in the vertically upward direction. Velocity at a point h meter below the point of projection is twice the velocity at a point h meter above the point of projection. Okay. Find the maximum height reached by the ball above the top of the tower. You do it, you do it. You don't take my help. I'm just drawing it Hope you can analyze the situation. Right? Right? Hope it is clear to all of you. This is the given part of the question. This is the given part of the question. I got an answer from someone. Absolutely correct. Right. What about others? V2 is equal to 2V1. No, 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 no. Not it's not the. A ball is thrown from the top of a tower in vertically upward direction. Velocity at a point h meter below the point of projection is twice the velocity at a point h meter above the point of projection. Find the maximum height reached by the ball above the top of the tower. Right? So we are going to analyze the situation. I'm going to break it into two parts: A, B, and C. A, B, and C. Right. I'm going to write it like A, B, and C. So this point is named as A. This point is named as B, and this point is named as C. Right. So let me analyze the motion in between A and B. I'm going to analyze the motion between A and B. So can't you write down the equation as V1 square minus U square is equal to, I can write it as V1 square is equal to U square minus 2G small h. This is my equation 1. If I will write the equation between A and C, between A and C. So in that case, the final velocity is V2. So we can write V2 square is equal to U square minus of 2gh, because you have to take the displacement. Now see, the displacements and the initial velocity, they both are equal in both the cases. Okay, how does it matter it goes up or down? The only thing is that the displacement and the equations are 2g into minus h. In that case, we have to write it as minus h because displacement is in the downward direction in the second case. So this equation will become u square plus 2gh. It is u square plus 2gh. I mean 2 minus of g minus of h. Acceleration due to gravity is always negative in the downward direction. So it is u square plus 2gh. So we got both the equations. So let's solve it. Now you solve it. V2 is already given us 2V1 and this is V1 square plus V2 square. You can solve it now. You add it now. Some of the things are going to be cancelled out. Some of the things are going to be cancelled out. So now you solve it to find the maximum height. Okay. If you add both the equation, it is going to be V1 square plus V2 square. Let me add it. So it is U square plus U square because 2GH and 2GH are gone. That is 2U square. Right, 2U square. And you can write down this V1 square plus 4V1 square is equal to 2U square. So that is 5V1 square equal to 2U square. Okay. So put all these things in one of the equation. You'll be finding the value of it. You'll be getting the value of U square as, all of you are getting this answer, U square as 10GH by 3. Are you getting the answer as U square equal to 10GH by 3? You can easily get the V1 square now. V1 square is U square minus 2GH. Just put it. You're getting U square as 10GH by 3. So once you get this value, the maximum height H is equal to U square by 2G. Right? U square by 2G. So U square by 2G is answer is option C. Answer is option C is the correct answer. Anybody is having any doubt on this? No? Done? This one, juggler. keeps on moving 4 balls in air, throwing the balls after regular intervals. When one ball is in his hand, ball, one ball find out the position of the other ball. How many balls are there? 4 balls are there. So it's given us 20 meters per second. So let's find out that how much high time it is required by the ball to come back to its hand. Total time of flight is equal to 2u by g. Is it fine now? Can you see it? Can you see it properly? Are you able to hear me? Okay, 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 continue, continue. Oh, what is happening? Wait, wait. How? The W is keeps on moving forward in air, throwing the balls after regular intervals. When one ball is leaving his hand with a speed of 20 meter per second. So let's find out that how much time is taken by one ball to come back to its hand. You know that the total time of flight is 2u by g. So that is 2 into 20 by 10. So it is 4 seconds. That is 4 seconds. So equally let's divide. So he is throwing the balls after 1 second each. One is taking 4 seconds to come back to it. So that's why we can say that equal interval means 4 divided by 4 equal to 1 second. So he is throwing each ball after 1 second each. Okay. Then next, when one ball is leaving his hand, then the position of the other ball you have to find out. When one is leaving his hand, then the position of the other ball you have to find out. You have to find it out for all the 3 balls. When the fourth ball is leaving his hand, show what would be the displacement traveled by the body or the distance traveled by the body during that. So if I say that the fourth ball is released from his hand, right? What will be the distance by the third one, second one, and the first one? What would be the distance covered by it or the displacement of the ball? You directly use this equation S is equal to ut plus half at t square, right? Initial velocity is plus 20. So what will be the time that has been taken by the third ball? Third ball must have traveled for 1 second. Third one must have traveled for 1 second. So I can write down the position of the ball after one. The third one I'm writing. For the third one, the time is equal to 1 second. 15 meters. That is equal to 15 meters. Similarly, the second one must have traveled for the second one must have traveled for 2 seconds. Right? must have traveled for 2 seconds. So we can write S2 is equal to 20 into 2 minus half into 10. Here I put minus, so it is 2 square. It's 40 minus 5 into 4. That is 20. Right? That is 20. Similarly, for the first one must have traveled for 3 seconds. So t is equal to 3 second point. I'm finding out the position, right? I'm finding out the position. Position can be in this direction or direction. It will be given. We'll be getting it from the equation. T is equal to 20 into 3 minus of half into 10 into 9. 60 that is also equal to 15. That is also equal to 15. Right, from the initial point of projection, these are the positions. One will be here and the other one will be somewhere here. So the final answer is option. Final answer is option B. 15, 20, 50. 15, 20 and 50. 37. Particle sliding from rest from the topmost point of a vertical circle of radius along the smooth chord, making an angle theta with the vertical. Right? Hope it is clear to all of you. There is a particle which is sliding from rest from the topmost point of a vertical circle of a smooth chord, making an angle theta with the vertical. So that means definitely the path is not going to the diameter. The time of descent you have to find. You have to find out the time of. Yes, 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 very good. What about other students? Hope you can imagine the situation now. This is not the path. For sure, this is not the path because it is given that the path followed by it is making an angle theta with the vertical. So just look at this white line. This is going to be the path of it. This white line is going to be the path of the particle or the bead or whatever it is, right? So this white line is the path that has been followed by the particle. Okay. So the circle is having a radius of r. So if it is r, so we are going to write it as 2r. 2r is this length, is the diameter, right? This angle is given as theta. Okay, if this is theta, so we can't we write it down that can we treat it as an inclined plane having an inclination of alpha, and theta plus alpha is equal to 90 degree. Theta plus alpha equal to 90 degree. Okay. So now the bead has started from rest and it will start to fall down. It is just like a particle that is sliding on an inclined plane. So if you draw the free body diagram of it, you can see that this angle is alpha. Here. So this is mg, and this one is alpha. This is mg cos alpha. Normal reaction. Okay, fine. That is not aptly required for us. So it is mg sine alpha. So we can write down that acceleration is equal to g sine alpha. But alpha term is not given here, so we can write it out like g sine 90 minus theta. 90 minus theta will give you cos theta. 90 minus theta will give you cos theta. So we can write down the acceleration as g cos theta, right? So acceleration is coming out to be g cos. We are required to find out the time of descent. We are required to find out the time of descent. Okay, so this one is a constantly accelerated motion and the initial velocity of the particle at this particular point is equal to 0. Initial velocity of the particle at this particular point is equal to 0. So what is this length? First of all, we have to find out what is this length. This length is going to be This is 2r, this one is theta. So this length is 2r cos theta. This length is 2r cos theta. So I'm directly writing here like this length. The length or the length of the path is 2r cos theta. Right. So length is 2r cos theta. Initial velocity is equal to 0. Acceleration is constant and it is coming out to be g cos theta. So let me write down. We can use this kinematic equation is equal to ut plus half at t square. This part is gone. Directly we can find out the time as square root of 2s by a. What is s? S is equal to 2r cos theta. So let me write it down. 2r cos theta divided by 2 into 2r cos theta, right? So it will be 4r cos theta divided by acceleration, that is g cos theta. These are gone. So final answer is coming out to be 2 square root of r by g. 2 square root of r by g. Is it dependent on theta? No, it is independent of theta. So the final answer is independent of, clear to all of you?